Three. Welcome, everybody, to the Elevate Your Life podcast. Cheryl, we are doing episode number 130 today.
Yay! I can't believe it's 130, Paul.
Yeah,
I might say that at every single number because it's just incredible. I think it's so exciting to me.
Well, Cheryl, the way you're able to get 130 podcasts done is because you manage your time extremely well.
Oh, yes, that's absolutely right. And I'm so glad that we're going to even dig a little deeper into that today, Paul.
We are. And this is kind of a new series we got going on here. So we talk a lot about elevating your mindset. We talk about elevating your leadership. Those are big things. We're obviously helping everyone elevate their health. But today's show, we're going to help people elevate their plan. And I just have loved the evolution of you over the years, now becoming Mrs. Planner.
I know, it is so funny. I was just like, when we were talking earlier, I thought it was so funny because I said, oh, okay, now, so for tomorrow, I've got to figure this, and this out. And you're like, what? Wait. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm talking about tomorrow, today.
Yeah.
Like that's never happened.
And then you're getting ready to go on your trip. So you got to write a task down to remember to take those supplements with you for that gentleman. And so, yeah, you become a task master here. And really, being prepared and planning things out. And the funny thing, for those of you who have been following us right along, I said that I had this emotional home before of overwhelm because I have so many things on my task list. And Cheryl's like, well, I don't have that problem because I don't have a task list. So never feel overwhelmed.
That is
I thought that was super funny, but yeah, this is going to be a great podcast. And really start off, Cheryl, we should mention that time management really doesn't exist. It's priority management. We only have 24 hours in a day. So and this is the only thing that's really equal in the world. I mean, there's no like, oh, I'm better than you, so I get 26 hours. No, that doesn't work that way. We all get 24, period. Doesn't matter, who you are. So we got to use that time wisely. And basically what that means is just deciding, what are my priorities? I got to do this, and this first, because, you could have 30 things on your list today, but you're never going to get your whole list done. There's just no way. So what are the highest priorities? And that is the key to making a successful year and we're going to be having a year review in our next podcast. So make sure you tune in for that next week.
Yeah.
And
well, something that I think so interesting is everybody has 24 hours in a day. And how is it that some people are getting so many things done and other people are not getting hardly anything done? And then some people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, but still not able to get the things done I want to. And then the other person like, oh my gosh, I'm just so slammed. I just can't do it. There's no way that I can do it. Yet we see people who are busy as can be getting the things done that they need to get done.
Yeah. It's like the old saying, if you want something done, give it to someone who's busy. I think they're just in that routine of getting a lot of things done. But it's just super interesting that how we make up our minds on what to prioritize in our lives. So it goes on that deeper scale. We've been talking right along about looking at your needs and values. So so we all know there's 6 human needs. What are the 2 top needs? Well, my 2 top needs, I know they're for you too, Cheryl, is growth and contribution. I mean, those are the 2 things we're thinking about all day long. How can I grow? How can I get better? How can I elevate? And how can I contribute to other people, elevate their lives? Right. So when you have those 2 needs, now, if you had variety as number 1 need, your schedule would look completely different. Because I want to do this different, that different, everything's doing something different.
You would never have any consistency on the little things that are important every day to become as successful as you want, right? If in fact but I know from experience that with variety, you will get to do tons of different things. But I also, like, I remember feeling like that. And it's unsettling and you're never grounded. For me, that's how I was. You're
Yeah.
unsettled. I was unsettled. I wasn't grounded. And I was constantly looking for something different every single day,
Right. Right.
which is so interesting to 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 have variety as number one.
Yeah.
It's so really think about that too. About what needs do you have? The two needs that you have, the two main needs in your life. And it's
Yeah. I
so
mean,
great that you can change them.
it is. It is. And so many people right now have significance and certainty as their two top needs, which
Of course.
completely changes your schedule, changes your whole year, the way you live life.
Right.
So we're really encouraging you to get on this elevate mindset and put growth and contribution as your two top needs. But then there's values, Cheryl. There's things that we value, like health and fitness. I value gratitude and spirituality, growth, of course, contribution, we already mentioned, leadership and balance. Because I value balance, I'm not one of those people that work 100 hours a week and are single and overweight because I don't take care of myself. Like, I want to have
Right.
balance in all my areas of life. I don't believe in spending, tons of time on this, but none on this and very little on this.
Right. Which I love. I think that everybody wants that balance. I mean, when I think of balance, I think of meditation because you've got to be able to slow down enough to realize that you're not balanced in what you're doing, and then have this kind of like this plan that we're doing now, have this way that you can move forward with that balance. And
Yeah.
I love the idea of, and when I think of balance, I'm like, oh, well, what exactly does that mean? I mean, is that what should I have in balance? Right. So, what are the things that I want balanced in my life? And I think that we have to look at that, and we have to sit down for a moment, think about it, and make sure that we are balanced. And I think, especially right now, a lot of people are not balanced in the different areas of their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So and we're going to do a lot of talking about this in our next podcast with our year-end review. But let's move on, Cheryl, and talk about.
Mhm.
So this is going to be a great podcast for everybody because there's two very different people doing this podcast. But we're going to let Cheryl go first. Always ladies first. And so like Cheryl is a super successful woman. I mean, one of the most successful women in the world. And everyone wonders, well, how does she get it all done? She's got 2 kids, a husband that's running for Senate, a million things going on, a huge business, friends, family. I mean, holy cow. Tennis. So how do you get it all done? It's just fascinating to watch you. But I know one of the main comments we get or questions we get is, how does Cheryl do it all? How does Cheryl fit it all in?
Yeah. And I'll tell you, we're going to tell you how I fit it all in now. How I used to fit it in is a little bit different. And so it's been like this big learning curve for me. And I used to just always say, oh, I'm the fly by the seat of your pants type of girl.
Let's wing it.
So it's like, yeah, let's wing it. Whatever's coming at me is what I'm going to deal with.
Yeah.
And so it's been a process over this too. And plus, I would never write anything down. I don't want to remember anything. Yesterday was yesterday. Let's move on. That's how I lived my whole life. Right. And so now I found, I'm super excited about finding this thing called Fantastical. So I'm like, really, Paul introduced me to it. But I absolutely love it. And it allows me to have a schedule, which I used to think schedule was a swear word. Okay. Because I felt confined, and I felt like someone was holding me down if I had a schedule. So those are like
again,
the feelings that I would have.
As a teaching moment here, there's a word and then there's a meaning we give to it. So the word schedule means jail sentence, being confined. But now you have a new meaning to schedule, and that is freedom. Like, I get to move things around, do things what I want, put things in my schedule wherever I want to put them.
And I don't forget them.
And we don't forget them, because that was a source of frustration in your life is, oh my
Right.
God, I can't meet with you, Paul, because I have 2 other things booked at the same exact time. Which became a problem, and which I think really tilted you in a different direction. But So talk to us more about Fantastical. So what exactly? So you have something comes up, and what do you do?
Well, it's an app. So Fantastical is an app. And so I can just go in there and I can just speak into it, because my whole thing is I'm driving kids around a lot. I know a lot of you moms with kids who can't drive yet. That's what you're doing, right? You're driving the kids everywhere, literally everywhere. And so it has to be super quick, and it has to be, if I can talk into it. I can't type, right? Unless I'm at a stoplight, and then that's fine. But it has to be super quick and easy to put into this calendar. And Fantastical that's exactly what it is. So I just either speak it in or put it in quick, what it is, the time, date, and whatever the event is that I have planned for that day. And so that's that. And it's been, and you know what the great thing is now I feel more confident in what I can do and when I can do it, and adding more things to what I do because I have it in there. So all I have to do is just go check the calendar and see what it says, and then I know. So
Yeah, so
I
those are
love
things
that
that have a specific date and time. Like I got to take Angelica to dance at this time or
Yes.
whatever. It's a very specific event going on.
Right.
Take Justice to tennis, whatever, what's going on. So now what about things that are not time specific? Just things you got to do today.
Right. So first, let me say this. So I have all of those things in the calendar each day. So I put those things in first, like things that I absolutely have to do. Then I can add in different things like, oh, I need to call Carol at this time. Oh, I need to. And so I put that in like in about 15 minutes, 15-minute or so increments. And then I know that I need to have those things done. But I have a list of those things in tasks. So tasks is another part in Fantastical. It's another little tab, and you can go there and write down the things that you have to get done that day. Or you know what I do? Things I don't want to forget.
Yep.
So like I have to take products when I go on my trip, or I have to make sure that I get the returns back from Amazon, or I have to make sure, whatever it is, I put that in the task list. And it's cool, Paul. The thing I like about it is I don't have to put a time or a date on it if I don't want to, but of course I can. So I can do it. So then it will, and then I can also put in reminds me, right? So there's a reminder in there that'll remind me to do it at a certain time, or like a little ding on your phone or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic. So, you can go, like, for instance, I know you have to pack because you're leaving on a trip tomorrow.
Right.
So you put packing in as a task, but you could go in there now
Yep.
and say, well, I got to get that done by 6 p.m. tonight or whatever time you pick. So
Yep.
then it actually it's still a task, but kind of becomes an event or an appointment.
Right. Exactly. It's made all the difference in the world, really. And it allows, yeah. Oh, one thing I want to say about this though. So something else that was really hard for me is I didn't want to start doing this because I thought I would feel bad if I didn't get it done.
Right.
So that's another thing that was like stopping me from doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to kind of give yourself grace. You're busy, you're a busy mom, you're a busy person. You just have to know that, hey, if you don't get it done, then try it again. Try for it, the next day or a little bit later that night or whatever. But don't beat yourself up if other obstacles and things start happening and you have to move things around a little bit. I found that is totally fine. And it gives me like the space to be okay with, yes, having things written down, but also I'm okay if I don't accomplish it right when I need to. I still know that it's there and that I do need to get that accomplished.
Right. And I remember being in the Marines, they don't tell you this while you're in, but while I was there, or after, I should say, we graduated, they were like, hey, we just want you to know what we did to you. So we gave you all these things to do every single day. We knew that you couldn't get them all done, but we want to see how well you can prioritize. So I kind of use that the rest of my life, where I know I'm not going to get all these tasks done today, but I'm going to get the most important ones done. I think that's the key to it.
Absolutely. And make sure you know which ones are the most important. right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't even know which ones are the most important for you to get done, then you might start with the easiest one. And that is or you might start with the ones like the dishes or like the laundry because you're used to it and you understand how to do it. And that's easier maybe for you than calling someone or
Yep.
returning a call from somebody and working a little bit on your business. Another thing too is just know, don't be afraid to do things in blocks. Like I do things like in 15-minute blocks. Maybe something might take a little bit longer, but I used to say, well, as soon as I have an hour, I can sit down and get all of that done. Okay, the hour's never coming. I don't ever have an hour to sit down and get something done. So you have to be able to say, hey, I'll just give them a call super quick. And when I'm in the car, call them up, talk to them while I'm driving, and then there you go. And be okay with that. Be okay with switching from one thing to another. You get the task done. Well, now you can talk to your kids a minute while they're in the car with you. You can listen to your personal growth in the car with your kids. I love to do that. That's one of the things that I love to do. But just you make it work for you. But I promise you, there's a way that you can make it work for you. You just have to be willing to, understand what it is you need to do and then weave your life around that, I guess.
Yeah. I think the
That's the way
real
to put it.
piece of advice to give to people is that you have to have a plan in place for sure today, but be flexible with it. Because the cool thing about Fantastical is you can actually go in there and move things down or move things up based on how, the day's going. So
Yeah.
that's a really cool feature too, to just be able to drag this event up or down. Maybe you meant to work out in the morning, but didn't work out that way. So you had to take the kids to a dentist appointment. So you got to move it down to later. That's fine. As long as we're getting the important things done every day is what matters. But Cheryl, let's talk about, I know you spend a lot of time in the car driving the kids all over the place and doing errands on your own and stuff, taking yourself places. So I know you you use that car time as really valuable time where you do a lot of personal growth, you make a lot of phone calls,
Yeah.
you have quality time with your kids, and your kids get to see everything that you're doing while you're driving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's so important. So I used to just do it when they weren't around, right? So I would make sure they weren't in the car or whatever else. But then, it's gotten to a point now where I just can't do that. And so they do. They hear me when I'm on my calls, when I'm calling back, helping someone with their health or talking about business or whatever it is. They're with me and they hear me talking, and then they'll ask me questions when I get off the phone about it, if they're interested in something. And it's become like the most fantastic teaching moments. So I
Yeah.
really love that. I've loved that's that's a time that you can do that.
Yeah. And plus I know you're big on listening to audiobooks on Audible and podcast on the podcast app.
Oh yeah.
So the kids are hearing that, and it's
Yep.
not just growth for you, but they're hearing it too.
Absolutely. I found that they don't really want to do it on their own sometimes. And so that's okay. They can just do it with me. And every
Absolutely.
time I turn one on, they're like, Mom, oh my gosh. I'm like, nope, we're going to listen to it. It's fantastic. And I want you to tell me what you learned, one or two little things, so that kind of forces them to listen up a little bit. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
What are some other tips, Cheryl, that you would give to a mom like you
Okay.
that's going 100 different directions, running a
Well, one
full-time
thing that I
business?
love, Paul, yeah, one thing that I love is Instacart.
Hmm.
That's really like incredible. And you just order the things you want from the grocery store on your app and they deliver it to you.
Yeah, I
And it's
know
for
it's
look,
it's easy to spend, an hour or two at the grocery store plus drive time.
oh my gosh, if that was the case, Paul, I would probably still go because I am probably one of the few people that I love to go to the grocery store. It's
Really?
like seriously, oh my gosh, it's like one of my favorite things to do. But I've had to delegate that, right, with Instacart because I just don't have enough time
Yeah.
to do that. And so I love Instacart. Another one is I have learned how to delegate things. So delegate whenever possible. And this was hard for me, Paul, because I don't like to take the time to train someone on how to do something or even talk to them because I can just do it real quick myself. I can just do it real quick myself. That was like what I would always tell myself. Oh, I can have them do this, or I can just do it real quick myself. I can have Justice do that, or I can just do it real quick myself. Right. But the problem is 100 things real quick yourself is 100 things. And you cannot get, then it just becomes like frustrating. And then you just, you don't get anything done. And then it messes with your state and everything else. So if you could delegate, oh my gosh, it is so fantastic. And it'll be worth it to teach your kids. Or, we were talking about getting someone to come in and clean your house. I love that. I love someone to come in and clean my house. That's super important to me and really, kind of relieves the tension, the frustration, whatever it is that I have to get something clean, for my family, because I feel that it's important to live in a clean house, and set that good example for your kids. So like lawn and landscaping, get somebody to do that. If in fact,
You mean you don't cut your own grass, Cheryl?
well, you can, but I don't know. I think that I have to have somebody help me with that.
No, I agree 1,000%. I mean, I have
Yeah.
like a crew that comes in of 4 people. They come in, they clean the whole house once a week and do what would take me like, and I'm a great cleaner. I'm not saying that we can't clean. It just would take me 8 hours to do what they do in 2.
Yeah.
Plus I'd be wasting an entire day of my life on it. So yeah, that and,
Right.
and anything like you said, you can delegate out, is the lawn, the landscaping, the whatever it is. And one last thing, Cheryl, I know you're talking about being okay with doing one small thing at a time. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, you just have to be okay with not, the way I used to do it is I say, well, as soon as I get an hour or 2 hours to sit down, I'll go ahead and do that. And then I'll be able to really get a lot done. But in fact, what would happen is that time would never come. The 1 or 2 hours I never had, I never have, I still don't have to this day. And so I just want you to think about, as you're doing, just do little things, because little things done consistently over time will make a huge difference. And so you just have to consistently do those little things every single day and move from one to the next to the next. And that's fine. And you can do it on the run. You can do it, anytime really that you just set into your calendar, you'll be able to do those things. And I found that works really well for me now after I got over this whole thing of, oh, well, I need 2 or 3 or 4 hours to sit down and do the things I need to do.
Right. So you're basically working out of the small time increments now. And
Yes.
okay, if you have 5 calls, just you make 1 and you feel good about that.
Right. And then it's a win. And then it makes you want to do the next one and the next one and the next one. So yeah.
That's fantastic.
I love it. Okay, Paul. Well, you know what? Let's hear about your schedule. That's about 1,000 times different than mine.
It is. And I don't want to stereotype like men and like women always do this and guys always do this. Like, I know it's not true because a lot of guys don't want to be like super structured. And there's women that do want to be structured. They love that structure in life. In case someone didn't know out there, I was in the Marines, and that really has stuck with me throughout my entire life, is having that structure and seeing the value in that. Plus, it's just, I don't know, I shouldn't say it's who I am, because I know we can change our identity. But for instance, so every day I get up at 5 o'clock. I really got involved in this 5 a.m. club. Actually, Cheryl's the one who shared the Robin Sharma book with me, and we got into this 5 a.m. club. And I used to say that I'm not really a morning person, but I was identifying that way. So now I identify as, oh, I am a morning person. I love getting up early. So I know that if I don't get my workout in first thing, it probably won't get done today. And I know, Cheryl, we laugh back and forth because you're like, oh yeah, by 2 o'clock, all of a sudden when I look in the mirror, I look fine. Like, I don't need to work out today. So that's kind of my mentality too, that it's just, if it doesn't happen in the morning, I say, well, I'll just do it later. But for me, later doesn't happen, especially with working out. So I get up, I stretch, I work out, I do my cold plunge, I do my meditation for half an hour, take a shower, so now I'm at 7:30. I do some organizing around the house, get my office squared away. So I got everything. I know that's a big thing for you, Cheryl, to make sure that all your papers are off your desk and everything's filed correctly.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
And then I do my hour power. We talk about the magic morning. So I work on my spiritual life, journal. I plan out today, review my blueprint, go over my beliefs or my identity or just a part of it for 10 minutes and maybe check my finances, my checking account, if there's any bills I got to pay. So I get all that done. And so it's 9 o'clock and I'm ready. Like I'm ready to take on the world because of that 4 hours I just spent getting myself ready. And I'm in a phenomenal spot at 9 a.m. I do my personal growth. First thing, I don't pick up the phone. I don't start texting people. I don't answer any emails. I'm doing personal growth. That's my number one thing for work. My second most important thing is deep work. So those of you that own your own business, I can't encourage you enough. Again, another Robin Sharma kind of teaching moment is doing this 90 minutes of deep work, really the important stuff. If you're writing a book, writing notes for a podcast, working on a website, whatever those things are that are going to make a huge difference in your life down the road, you got to make time for that because otherwise the whirlwind will take your life over. So I do that for 90 minutes, Cheryl. So now it's 11:30 a.m. Now I haven't made a phone call yet. I haven't answered a text unless it's from you because I get yelled at by Cheryl if I don't immediately pick up my phone or answer a text message. So I do answer yours, but for the most part, I don't answer any emails, no phone calls, no nothing until 11:30. So that might be like, holy cow. Like most people get up when they first get up at 5, 6, 7, whatever time they get up at. First thing they do, go to their phone, check Facebook, check my email. Like all that can wait. It doesn't have to be done when you first wake up, and you just got to get out of that mindset. So I do spend 8 hours working. I work from 11:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. So that's actually 10 and a half hours when you add in the amount of time I did for personal growth and deep work time that I did. But I look at those 8 hours where I'm interacting with people. I'm doing work that will really make me money today and make an impact on people's lives today. Not that the deep work doesn't do that too, but I do a typical 8-hour work day on that. And, by doing that, it gives me the flexibility if I don't want to work on Fridays and make that kind of like my errand day or Saturdays or Sundays, so I don't have to work weekends. So I get it all done, kind of really my goal is to get that 4-day work week going where I just jam on those 4 days and can take a time off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then every day, hard break at 7:30. I got to stop. I'm eating dinner at that time. I got a keto dinner planned because I know I'm going to start my intermittent fasting at 8 p.m. So there is no wiggle room on dinner time. It is 7:30. Period. The end.
Or you're not going to get to eat it.
What's that?
I said, or you're not going to get to eat it.
We're not get to eat it. Yeah. So I just set these, these boundaries in my life. I set standards that I'm not going to eat between 8 p.m. and noon to the next day. So I got that hard down. And then I got that 8 to 10 period. We all need time to relax and wind down so that we can get, you can't just stop work and go to sleep and think you're going to fall asleep and get a great night's sleep. It just doesn't work that way. So you need that hour or two in there, I believe, to wind down and to relax a little bit. And actually, it's okay to do that because it's in the plan. Like I already planned that out to do that.
Well, yeah, it's like a whole program. You have to have like a little plan, like you're saying, before you go to sleep. And it's more than just that, isn't it, Paul? It's not just that one thing. And I think we've talked about it before a little bit in our podcast on sleep. But that is super important to have that hard stop, right? And to be able to, turn off your phone and do all of those things that will make your sleep so much better.
Yeah, I know we follow a gentleman named Brian Johnson. He has this digital sundown or sunset or something. Yeah, digital sunset, where he turns his phone off, locks it in his drawer at like 5 p.m. every day, and that's it. Like no one can get a hold of him because he's with his wife and family, so he doesn't care who else has to try to get hold of him. How would you do with that, Cheryl, if you had to lock your phone in a drawer at 5 o'clock?
No. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I've still got kids running around, I mean, there's no way.
Yeah. So, but it is important to try to get away from screens and that kind of work. Get away from your computer and take that hour or two before bed and be able to adjust so you have a good night's sleep, because sleep is very important, right, Cheryl?
We have figured that out, haven't we?
We have. So yeah, so now
Definitely.
I'm not saying that I never move anything up or down, because it does happen, but I know that I'm a rock star when I do things in this order, and it all gets done.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel great at the end of the day because I followed the plan. And, but it's all obviously important to be flexible. Sometimes I have to work a little bit later, but then I take a little more time off on one day, and do something else. So I always keep that value of balance in the back of my mind, where it's kind of a yin yang. If I'm taking from here, I'm going to give it over here, and at the end of the week, it's all going to balance out.
Right.
So, Cheryl, we always want to end our podcast with a +1. So today's +1 is to elevate your life. We really feel that you must master your time. I mean, that's the most valuable thing that we have.
Yes, and as you master your time, that'll help you move from fine to fabulous.
Awesome. All right, we'll see you next week, everybody.